Show
on 100.7 WMMS.
I mentioned the Lord of the Rings, top of the show, just as an aside, talking about movies shot concurrently. They're putting all those back in the theater this summer. Well, they're doing that a lot. I will.
One of the only ways to get people to go see movies.
It must be. I mean, but they're old movies. I mean,
right, but there's a lot of people that love those movies that never got to see them in the theater.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that they want to take their kids, or they, grew up watching them at home and never got to see them on the big screen. So I get why they do that.
Yeah. No, I do too. It's just they're hard to keep track of because unless you are getting like email blasts from one of those companies that does it, you don't know. Like I was just looking around.
I saw they're putting Clue in the theaters again.
They have Alien this weekend. I'm kind of
Really?
thinking of going Sunday.
That would be fun.
But I'll go on Fandango and look and see if there's like a movie out that I could take my daughter to or something like that. And they're like, yeah, they're showing Alien. They're showing all these older movies. They're putting them back in theaters for. They'll usually do like a Wednesday and a Sunday or something. But anyway.
The first time I ever saw Jaws was at the drive-in. I had never seen it, and I saw that it was coming to the drive-in as like a double feature with Jurassic Park. And I'm like, I feel like this would be the appropriate way to see it for the first time.
Yeah.
Big screen in a, a drive-in setting, like make out like a little 50s couple or something,
I mean, I saw it on TV when I was a kid because it came out probably when I was in the first grade. But the first time I saw it in the theater was years ago when Playhouse Square was doing that movies
They're
on
doing those, yeah.
Whatever they call it, like Cinema at the Square or something like that. Yeah, we went to go see Jaws.
I've still never seen Jaws on the big screen. That would be a good one to check out that way.
You've only seen it on the little screen.
I've only seen it watched it at home.
On my phone. A tiny phone.
I talked smack
Screen.
about how bad the graphics were, and then I had nightmares for like a week about sharks
Jaws?
and being in the ocean.
It's not
and stuff.
graphics. It's a
Or
big
like the
crappy
mechanical
animatronics.
shark.
Yeah, right. I was like laughing about how bad it was, and then no joke, like 2 or 3 days in a row, it was like ocean nightmares. Well, it did something to me.
Yeah, you just kind of
Yeah.
accept it for what it was at the time, and that's why they didn't show the shark too much because they knew it looked crappy.
So June 8th, 9th, and 10th, they're going to put the Lord of the Rings movies back in theaters. People who want to. They got there's a Lord of the Rings anime film that's going to be in theaters pretty soon. And, well, I mean, December, but pretty soon. Do you know anybody that bought that Apple Provision?
Nope.
I don't either. I saw a handful of people, along the way wearing them, but apparently Apple is dialing way back on these. They're slashing their production. They're canceling the model they were going to release next year because you figure everybody who wanted one ordered one.
Right.
I don't know why they thought there was going to be this massive demand for something that's cost $3,500.
That costs that much, that looks awkward, that isn't practical for most people on a day-to-day basis.
I saw a dude sitting at a table by himself, Natch, because you got this dumb thing on your face, at the Orlando airport. He's just sitting there like he had probably gotten something to eat. And he's just sitting there at a table by himself like a little two-top, with the giant thing on his face. Looking around, and, you can still see what's going on around you. I guess if you opt for that, there's some opacity to it. But I was like, holy cow, this dude. And he wasn't the only one. Like that day, he wasn't the only one. There was somebody else at the airport because our flight got delayed or something like that. So we're just killing some time walking around. And I saw a couple of people, both dudes. I didn't see any women walking around with this monstrosity on their face.
Yeah, we don't need anything blocking our sight. We need to be
right. You need to have full peripheral vision at all times.
Right.
That's male privilege, Mary.
I know what it is.
Guys walking around with giant nerd video game goggles on their face. And Facebook is still going to release theirs. So I don't know how your plan goes forward when Apple is like, yeah, we thought a lot of people were going to want these, and everybody who wanted them bought them. The demand has essentially cratered. They spent 8 years and billions of dollars.
Because people still just aren't going for the VR like they want them to. Because I think Meta just had to report their earnings loss because they keep they keep releasing the Meta Quest.
Keep doing them.
And I think they released the third one, and people just are not that into it.
They cut their original planned shipments in half. They were going to ship 800,000. They cut them to about 400,000. And they've sold about 180,000 of them. You know, your first adopters are going to grab those too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's people globally ordering them. Obviously, it's not just here. But they said that demand in the United States is way below where they thought it would be. They've even coined a phrase for people out there in public wearing them, apple holes. And so, I don't know.
Hold your tongue and say apple hole.
Apple hole. I think these would be fun if you were like in your house, maybe. But the people walking around with them, I guess it is made, the big hope is that all of this technology is used no matter where you are. And so like, oh, yeah, you can walk around. You'd see people on YouTube doing them, but they were probably sent to them.
Yeah.
To get some stickiness on them and get some engagement before these things were out there on the market. Apple probably sent a whole lot of people these things and then told them, hey, walk around and film yourself so people know how cool these are. But that's turned out to be a harder task than anybody over there had anticipated. I think that part of it, too, is the trouble of, when you're working at a company that's going all in on something like this, you can kind of get into this bubble thing where you're working so hard on it. And it is fundamentally cool. It's cool. It's cool technology.
Yeah, but people aren't going to put aside mortgage payments.
They're not going to spend $3,500. Right.
Yeah.
You have to have $3,500 not earmarked for anything else.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To
go towards
extra dollars.
Yeah.
And it's not like in from what I've seen, it just makes it so that you can put like Twitter over here and Facebook over here and just have like your feeds up. It doesn't seem to be that intuitive or that, I don't know, productive in a lot of ways.
No, it's for entertainment.
Yeah.
They sell, they promote it to you like, oh, you're going to be working so much. The commercials are all like an architect who's drafting stuff while wearing his Vision Pro and all this. But it's people walking around, touching the air and playing video games and watching porn.
People don't want to be working when they're walking somewhere.
Right.
No.
And if you are, your cell phone's glued to your hand anyway. Like, can I just have my 10-minute walk from the subway to my house?
Right.
I can't have that. I have to have Instagram and Twitter and Excel sheets pulled up. Like, come on, man.
Can I look at the things happening around me
right.
as I'm on my commute? Yeah, but that's how they sell it to you. That's how they promote it. Oh, work smarter, not harder.
But I think that's why people look at it and go, oh, I don't need that. That doesn't seem to have any appeal to my day-to-day life.
I'm not going to work when I get home.
The only way VR is really going to take off is when it becomes where you're like docking in and you're living in a matrix society.
Oh yeah,
that's when it's going to take off.
Well, people are all for that. When they talk to people, they're like, "Oh, if it turned out that you could put yourself in a simulation or something along those lines," they're like, "I would absolutely." That's right.
Let's go.
Get me the hell out of here, and I'll go live forever in the Matrix.
That's an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Where they had that.
It's an episode of The Matrix too,
or something.
Huh?
Whatever. San
Junipero.
San Junipero, where they're like, it's for old folks, where they're like, yeah, you can log in. It's limited to 3 hours a day, and you're not allowed to kill yourself. Like, those are the two rules. But go live in whatever time you want to live in. That'd be cool.
They were living in the 80s.
Yeah.
What's the one with the comic book they made into the Bruce Willis movie?
Surrogates.
Right.
I never saw that, but
it wasn't great. But
that was where you have a surrogate going out and living a real life as
you're at home in the pod.
Which is that.
Wait, what is it? You're
in a pod, and then there's a robot version of you out living your life, like you're controlling it.
And you're at home eating Cheetos and sitting, like
so
everybody
it's like
at home
running your errands. It's like having a personal assistant.
No, it's like living your life for you. Like you're doing everything that it's doing,
living vicariously through this.
But you're just not out in the world. The robot's out in the world, but you're having all the experiences that the robot's having.
Mm-hmm.
And then he.
So like these things don't feel pain. So people are making their things like jump all over the place, and But of course, that's not enough. Bruce Willis gets embroiled in all kinds of terrifying situations.
Huh.
Just all the time.
He was an FBI agent, of course. And so you can't just have, walking around. He's got to get to the bottom of what's really happening. And then at the end of all those movies, too, everybody learns their lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like
robots aren't
living
great.
a real life is the best thing to do.
Right.
Almost like our time here is precious.
Almost. But it's like, what, imagine a world like that, if that were real life. There would be billions and billions of dollars tied up with people having these things, and it would be, its own economy. There's no way that these companies would, you know what, we're just going to go back to living real life.
That's like Ready Player One, that movie.
Yeah.
At the end of it, he wins the game, and he becomes the head of the Oasis, and he says, and 2 days a week, we shut the Oasis down and make people go out and live their real life. And it's like, no, you wouldn't do that. Because people can't just be like, it's a non-internet day.
Well, yeah, the end of Surrogates, Bruce Willis's character, he lets this virus loose.
You tell me the end of Surrogates, but you won't tell me the end of whatever that Neighborhood Watch.
No, because now you got to go watch it and enjoy it for yourself.
I absolutely will
live
not.
your real life. Sorry, The Watch. It was the working
Watch,
title
yeah.
was Neighborhood Watch, but they called it The Watch.
Mm-hmm.
Set in Ohio, a fictional town in Ohio, by the way. Yeah,
All towns in Ohio.
Did it again.
yeah, and it made some money too. It cost $68 million to make, and they made $68.3 million. So it
Oh,
really
they
killed
did.
it. Yeah, $68 million on that movie. Oh, stop spending money trying to convince me that Jonah Hill is funny. I don't care how much you throw at it. You hear
was
people
in
talk
there?
about, yes, talk about, when they talk about politics. You can't just throw money at a problem and fix it. Stop trying to convince me that Jonah Hill is funny. He's not. He never was. Put him in dramas and have him fun. That's where he shines. I know he wants to be funny. He is not.
He's funny in Wolf of Wall Street.
But that's still a drama.
But that's
a drama where
that's a
he's
comedy.
Wolf of Wall Street?
Wolf of Wall Street's a comedy.
Really? You think
Yeah.
so?
Scorsese said it is.
Oh, did he
I
really?
only
Yeah.
saw it once, and I felt like it was like,
It's over the top.
what's the word I'm looking for? Not satire, but like making, it was
Yeah,
like
maybe
making fun
parody,
of
maybe, or
those guys,
satire.
Yeah.
Yeah. The watch ends exactly how you think it would end.
Are you guys watching Baby Reindeer?
We are, and it's making me very uncomfortable.
It is a weird
There isn't
show,
a single
dude.
person except for his ex-girlfriend.
What is this show? I've seen it on.
There
My
isn't a single
roommate is
person in
watching
this
it.
show that's fun to look at.
No.
It's
Well,
very
I think
British.
they did that on purpose, though. They made it like these are regular people. It's about this guy.
Yeah, but
who's
he's
like,
the real guy.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
It's about this guy. He's like a stand-up comic, or he wants to be, and he's like a prop, like absurdist comic. But it's about his life and like working in a bar and like just like the problems he gets himself into. And the episode that my roommate had on today, when I kind of came out to have breakfast, was the one that's kind of a flashback series to when he meets the writer.
Yeah, that's the one we watched last night too.
And I'm like, this show is not about stand-up comedy. And she's like, dude, this episode is not like any of the other ones. It's a very strange, intense show.
Yeah, because Gwen's like, "Is this a true story?" I go, "Yeah, it is."
Oh, this is his story?
Oh yeah, Richard
I
Gadd.
didn't know that.
He's
I
the
didn't know
guy.
that.
Oh, it's all true.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why he's asking people, now that this thing blew up on Netflix, he's like begging people, stop trying to internet sleuth who the woman is.
Oh,
the
big
stalker.
girl? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
So-
well, that's different. I didn't realize it was a true story.
Yeah, he
It's
did
a
this-
wild true
He
story.
did this
then.
years ago as like a one-man show or something, or he wrote I don't know. And they put it on Netflix. Yeah, and it's kind of like the show of the moment, but it's very uncomfortable to watch.
It is, definitely.
I'm like, give me one hot person to look at. I mean, again, the ex-girlfriend's pretty cute.
Yeah, the black girl. She's
Yeah,
cute.
she was in, we just saw her in something else. The Tourist, which is another Netflix show. But anyway, yeah, Baby Reindeer is pretty wild. I mean, we're going to keep watching it.
I don't know if it's is it going to be renewed for a couple seasons?
I think it's just
is this a one?
I think it's a one-time
Yeah, I
thing.
think it's just a limited series.
Okay. Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I walked in during the episode where he meets the writer at
Mhm.
Edinburgh Fringe Festival, And so that's my introduction to this show today. And again, it's on right now, so this will definitely be like a no spoilers, but it's a wild ride. And now knowing that that's all true is like, I feel incredibly bad for that guy.
Well, and it's also like the ends people will go to become famous.
Yeah.
Or potentially be famous. Because, I mean, 2 minutes in with that dude, you're like, oh, this guy wants to do something awful.
For sure. And then, but he even says that when it's like, not even to be famous, but to be like seen or have somebody believe in you, where it's like, oh, you're not this piece of trash. You're actually good at what you do, or, you know, it's crazy. Yeah,
it's a wild show. Hey, Mickey.
Hey, how's it going, Alan?
What's up, Mickey?
Hey, you guys were talking about virtual reality and stuff. You guys ever heard of the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah, I just mentioned it.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I tuned in a little bit late, so I wasn't sure if you guys had talked about it or not. But yeah, that seems like the way it could go eventually one day.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate portrayal of how, when they figure out an Oasis type situation that people will actually want to use, that'll people will jump at the chance. But I think we're still pretty far from it being that.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
That engrossing.
It needs full immersion, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
people to dig it.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
That's pretty cool. I wasn't sure if you guys had talked about it or not. Like I said,
I've seen the movie and I've read both books, and I enjoy the books. I mean, I like the movie too. I thought it was, it's a lot of nostalgia porn and fan service and stuff like that, but it's still a pretty fun movie. And then the books I enjoy a lot more because it makes a lot more sense because they're way more nerdy indulgences, and he's supposed to, it's a lot more Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. And then the second one, they get into more of a Matrix type situation. That's it gets
you get
pretty
to create
scary.
Your own avatar and be who you want to be, and you're a different person in the real world. But it's pretty cool.
Okay, thank you, Mickey. Thanks, pal. I haven't seen that movie, but I didn't even know it was books.
Yeah.
You've read the books?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've listened to the books.
You don't know how to read.
Is the second one called Ready Player 2?
It is.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That was a Spielberg movie, yeah? Wasn't he? Okay,
Yep.
they made a big deal out of it because it was him, but it didn't do what they wanted it to do, did it?
No, it didn't take off the way he wanted it. But, I mean, it still did okay, but it wasn't...
Yeah, it made a lot of money.
Giant hit.
Right.
It wasn't, what Spielberg can do. I like Spielberg more when he's in, like, telling... I don't know, like, I mean, Jurassic Park's my favorite movie of all time, so that's a great one. But I also like, what's the
Fablemans?
No, the
Salem Family Stories?
Catch Me If You Can is one of my favorite movies, too.
All right.
I think that's one of Spielberg's
That's a true
best
story
movies.
too, right?
Yeah.
Sure is. Yeah, the guy literally said, "Catch me if you can."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the roll credits.
Frank Abagnale Jr.
Yeah, this party, based on a true story, inspired by a true story. No, the baby reindeer is all legit. That's all this guy's
That's
story.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for him now.
I'm going to have to check this thing out because it sounds weird and
pretty intense. I'm going to take a break. I will have more money for you. 3:30 is that next keyword coming at you, courtesy of the Buzzard bookie. So there's $1,000 attached to that. If you want to go see the Dave Matthews Band in June at